All right, so today we are going deep, deep into Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn.
Ooh, a good one.
Yeah, this book, I mean, it was a huge bestseller, but it really kind of like blew up the thriller genre back in 2012.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone was talking about it, and I
Hmm.
think for good reason.
For sure.
It just kind of got under people's skin and tapped into something about like modern relationships and, that whole like appearances versus reality thing.
Well, and it's interesting too because it came out right at this time when I think people were really kind of starting to question like the picture perfect portrayals of marriage that you see all over the place,
Yeah.
on social media and in movies.
Yeah.
And it was like Gillian Flynn just kind of ripped the mask off and said, okay, here's the darkness
Yeah.
that can simmer beneath the surface.
Exactly. And so for this deep dive, what we want to do is we want to untangle this totally twisted plot.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to look at how Flynn uses unreliable narrators.
Mm-hmm.
And we also really want to dig into the themes that make this book so unforgettable.
It's a wild ride.
Oh, it is.
Like a puzzle box.
Yeah,
Where every time you think you know what's going on, there's another layer
exactly.
of deception.
Okay, so picture this. We're in this seemingly perfect small town on the Mississippi River.
Okay.
And we meet Nick and Amy Dunne, this couple who, from the outside, seem to have it all.
The perfect life.
Perfect life, right? But then on their 5th wedding anniversary,
Oh.
Amy disappears.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Flynn is so smart in the way she structures this story because she alternates between Nick's present-day narration and then Amy's diary entries from the past.
Oh, that's so good.
So right away, you're off balance as a reader.
Totally. Yeah.
And from the very beginning, you get this sense of unease.
Yeah.
Nick finds this broken coffee table, Amy's not answering her phone, and you just know something is wrong.
Right.
And then the police show up,
Yeah.
Detectives Boney and Gilpin, and at first, they're almost casual about it.
They're like, it's probably nothing.
Yeah, but as they start digging, their whole attitude changes.
Right. Because they start to sense something's off, right?
Yes.
About Nick, the way he's telling the story. Like something's not adding up.
Exactly.
And then you've got Amy's diary entries,
right.
which are painting this completely different picture.
Yeah.
Of their marriage.
Yeah.
She's describing Nick as emotionally distant, irresponsible with money.
Right.
And there are even these little hints of something darker, something more sinister.
Yeah, and Flynn drops these little details.
Oh, yeah.
That just make you question everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, do you remember how Amy mishears song lyrics?
Oh, yeah.
She thinks she seems to have an invisible touch. Because actually, she parks my hat on the top shelf.
Oh, that's weird.
It's quirky,
Yeah.
but it also feels kind of off.
Yeah, like a little too quirky.
Yeah, like, is she just eccentric?
Yeah.
Or is there something else going on?
Exactly. And those little moments, they build this whole atmosphere of suspicion.
Totally.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah, and the same goes for Nick. Like, remember how he says that the police arriving felt staged?
Oh, like he was putting on a performance?
Almost like a performance, yeah. Or how he describes their move from New York to Missouri.
Right.
He compares their elegant sofa to a creature that's been, like, tranquilized
Oh, wow.
and taken from its natural habitat.
Interesting.
And these descriptions, they're not just random details. They're revealing something about Nick.
About his character.
Yeah.
Like he's observant,
Yeah.
but there's also this detached quality to his narration. Like he's watching himself from outside of his body.
Totally.
It's creepy.
And then, boom, the novel throws this massive curveball.
Yeah.
Amy faked her own disappearance.
What?
It's one of those moments where you have to put the book down and just be like, what did I just read?
Yeah, you have to take a minute.
Totally. And that's where Flynn's mastery of unreliable narration really kicks in.
Oh, yeah.
Both Amy and Nick are constantly manipulating our perceptions as readers.
They're playing with us.
Yeah, like Amy's diary entries, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They're so carefully crafted to present this idealized version of herself.
Right.
The amazing Amy.
The perfect wife.
The perfect wife.
Yeah.
Right. And she's portraying Nick as the villain.
Right.
Someone who's controlling, maybe even dangerous.
Right.
But then you have Nick, who's putting on this charming facade for the public,
Yeah.
playing the grieving husband.
Mm-hmm.
But you get these glimpses of his resentment, his secrets.
Yeah.
And you realize he's not being totally honest either.
Right. So they're both lying.
They're both lying.
But they're lying in different ways.
Exactly.
And for different reasons.
And it's like they're both playing these twisted games, using their words and their actions
right.
to control the narrative.
Like a chess match?
Yes. And so, for example, Amy writes in her diary about Nick being controlling and threatening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Nick lies about going to the riverbank to reflect on their relationship.
Oh, wow. So he's creating this whole false alibi.
Exactly, and it's not just their words either.
It's their actions too, right?
Their actions too, yeah.
Like how Amy manipulates Desi Collings,
Oh, yeah,
her
yeah.
wealthy ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
She uses him
She does.
to get what she wants, doing
Right.
exactly how to push his button.
Exactly, and it makes you realize that Gone Girl isn't just a thriller.
It's more than that.
It's a study of human psychology
Yeah.
and how we can be so easily deceived by the people that we're closest to.
Right, because you think you know somebody.
Yeah,
But Flynn shows us that you never really know what's going on inside someone's head.
exactly.
And she forces us to confront our own biases as readers, right?
Sure.
Because we're constantly making judgments about Amy and Nick
Yeah.
based on the information they're giving us.
Right.
But then those judgments get completely flipped on their head.
All the time.
Yeah, it's like she's saying, don't believe everything you read.
Right.
And even more importantly, don't believe everything you think you know
Exactly.
about people.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good.
And it's like she's holding up this mirror
Yeah.
to society, showing us how easy it is to buy into
Right.
these carefully constructed narratives.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us to some of the major themes that make Gone Girl so thought-provoking.
Yeah, for sure.
Deception and manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
Those are obviously like right at the forefront.
Front and center.
Yeah, and if Flynn really like dissects how these forces operate, not just in these like grand schemes,
Right.
but in like the everyday fabric of relationships.
Exactly, yeah. It makes you question, like, how well do we really know anyone?
Right.
Even the people we're closest to.
Yeah.
And the book doesn't shy away from the consequences of that deceit.
Right.
You know, how it erodes trust and how it can ultimately just destroy lives.
Absolutely. Another theme that really stood out to me was how Flynn tackles gender roles and expectations.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, Amy's whole cool girl persona,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
the woman who's like effortlessly cool and low maintenance,
Yeah, the girl who's down for whatever.
always up for whatever the guy wants.
Right.
It's almost like a caricature of what society expects from women.
And it's such a dangerous expectation because it sets this impossible standard.
Right.
It's like Amy is saying, okay, I can play this role, but it's a performance.
Yeah.
And it comes at a price.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many people, men and women, feel pressured to conform to these kinds of societal expectations.
Oh, totally. And I think that resonates even more strongly today.
Yeah.
You know, with social media
Mm-hmm.
and this constant pressure to present this perfect image to the world.
Yes, and speaking of media, Flynn does not hold back in her critique
No, she does not.
of how it shapes public perception.
Oh, it's brilliant.
The media frenzy
Mm-hmm.
surrounding Amy's disappearance.
Yeah.
It's like a microcosm of how quickly narratives can just like spin out of control.
Totally. And Nick and Amy both exploit the media brilliantly.
They do.
You know, they're manipulating it to control their own versions of the story.
Right.
It's a good reminder that what we see in the news on social media,
Mm-hmm.
it's often just a very carefully curated
Yeah.
version of reality.
It makes you question everything you read and hear
Oh, yeah, totally.
and look for those hidden agendas and motives behind the information that we're just bombarded with every day.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's talk about some of those pivotal scenes and symbols
I think I love this part.
that make Gone Girl such a visceral
Yes.
reading
Oh,
experience.
for sure.
One that really stands out to me is Amy's annual anniversary treasure hunt
Oh, yeah. So fun.
that she creates for Nick. And what starts as this like quirky tradition
Ugh.
quickly becomes this really sinister game of manipulation.
Oh, it's so good.
And each clue that Nick uncovers
yeah.
reveals another layer of their fractured relationship
Mm-hmm.
and Amy's twisted plan.
Right.
And that final clue
Oh, my God.
leading to this horrifying discovery
Yeah.
in the shed behind Go's house.
Ugh. I get chills just thinking about it.
Oh, it's such a gut punch.
Yeah, it's like all the tension that's been building
Yes,
throughout the whole book just explodes in that moment.
exactly. And then there's Amy's physical transformation while she's in hiding.
Oh, yeah. It's
The hair dye, the weight gain.
Yeah.
It's not just about like changing her appearance.
Right. Yeah.
It's about shedding her old identity and embracing this new persona.
It's like a rebirth.
Yeah, almost like a metamorphosis
Yeah.
into this darker version of herself.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there's the amazing Amy persona itself.
Oh, yeah.
Such a brilliant commentary on the idealized images that we create.
Mm-hmm.
especially in the age of social media.
Right, because she becomes like a master manipulator
Yes.
of her own image,
Yes.
constructing this perfect facade to garner public sympathy and paint Nick as the villain.
Exactly. And her return home, covered in blood, framing Desi for her kidnapping.
Oh my God, what a scene.
That is a scene that stays with you.
Yeah, it's like the culmination of all of her cunning
Yes.
and ruthlessness. It's a demonstration of how far she's willing to go to control the narrative.
Yeah, and what's so chilling about that scene is the shift in power dynamics.
Totally.
Amy goes from being the victim to the puppet master,
Yeah.
orchestrating events to make sure that she gets the outcome that she wants,
It's scary.
no matter the cost. And it's like this reminder that sometimes the people that we think we know best
Yeah,
can be the most dangerous.
it's true.
So now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the lasting cultural impact of Gone Girl.
Okay.
It's been over a decade since it was published,
I know, it's crazy.
but it continues to spark conversation and resonate with readers.
Absolutely. It's a book that just stays with you.
Yeah, and I think Gone Girl wasn't just a thriller. It sparked this cultural discussion
Yeah.
about toxic relationships, the complexities of gender roles,
Mm-hmm.
and the manipulative power of the media.
Totally.
Like it tapped into this collective anxiety
Yeah.
about authenticity in our relationship.
Right. Like, are we really who we say we are?
And the stories that we tell ourselves and others.
And who can we trust?
Exactly. And the book's success also paved the way
Oh, yeah.
for this whole wave of psychological thrillers with similar themes like The Girl on the Train
Yes.
and My Lovely Wife.
Yeah. Good ones.
But even among those, Gone Girl, I think, stands out
It does, yeah.
for its sharp wit, its dark humor, and its just unflinching exploration of the human psyche.
Flynn doesn't shy away from the darkness.
No.
And that's what makes her work so compelling.
And the themes that she tackles are so timeless, like deception, manipulation, societal pressures, the search for identity.
Yeah, these are things that resonate with everyone
Yeah.
across cultures and generations.
And as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into Gone Girl, we wanted to leave you with something to think about.
Oh, okay.
Do you knowing what we know now about Amy and Nick, do you think they can ever have a genuinely loving relationship?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a tough one.
It really is.
It's the question that kind of lingers long after you finish the book. Right?
Totally, because have they just gone too far
Yeah.
down that rabbit hole of deceit and manipulation
Right.
to ever come back from it?
Yeah. Can they ever find true connection after all of that?
Yeah, and it really makes you think about like the complexities of human nature and, you know, the possibility of forgiveness
Right.
and whether redemption is even possible after such darkness.
It's a question with no easy answers, which is what makes it so fascinating to think about.
It really is.
And I think it speaks to the power of Gone Girl.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's a story that gets under your skin and makes you question your own assumptions about relationships, about truth, about the stories we tell ourselves and the world.
And it had such a huge impact on popular culture, too. Like, it wasn't just a bestseller.
Yeah.
It really sparked all these conversations and think pieces.
Totally.
And it was adapted into a movie,
Yeah, a really successful movie.
which a lot of people thought was even better than the book. Yeah, I mean, I think the book is pretty hard to top, but the movie did a really good job
So too.
of capturing that atmosphere of suspense.
Yeah, and it was really well cast.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, Rosamund Pike as Amy Dunne was just
Oh, she was perfect.
iconic.
Yeah, she really embodied that character.
And it really opened the door for a whole wave of these psychological thrillers that explored similar themes.
Yeah, like we were talking about before, The Girl on the Train, My Lovely Wife.
Right.
All these books that kind of owe a debt to Gone Girl.
But even among those, Gone Girl remains unique.
It does.
I think Flynn's writing, her sharp wit, her dark humor, her ability to create these characters who are both repellent and strangely compelling.
Yes.
That's what makes this book such a page-turner.
Totally. And the themes she tackles are so universal.
Yeah.
Like deception, manipulation, the pressure to conform, the search for identity. These are all things that resonate with everybody.
Regardless of background.
Yeah.
So whether you've read Gone Girl before or you're just discovering it now,
Yeah.
I encourage you to dive in and experience it for yourself.
You won't regret it.
And maybe, just maybe, it'll make you look at the world and the people around you with a slightly more critical eye.
Because sometimes the most captivating stories
Yeah.
are the ones that make us question everything.
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 We thought we knew.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Gone Girl.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was fun.